Starting off first with news that's coming in this minute. Pursuing the leads available in the Qazigund encounter in Jammu and Kashmir, security forces have now gunned down a third terrorist, while a fourth terrorist has been caught alive in injured condition. Encounter broke out yesterday at the Qazigund in South Kashmir. Two dead bodies of terrorists were recovered yesterday. The fourth terrorist was arrested from a local maternity hospital with a Chinese pistol and live cartridges last night. This individual was missing for the last 2 days from his house and had joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba recently. Investigations conducted so far have established that this individual was with the three terrorists when the encounter took place and managed to escape from the site. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent Khalid Hussain joining us for more on this. Khalid, what more do we have at this point?
Well, the operation is on, but it was a successful operation conducted once again by security forces. One topmost militant, Abu Furqan, who was now the divisional commander of South Kashmir and has replaced Abu Ismail, who was the mastermind of Amarnath bus attack. And Furqan was also involved in that, as police told us. So now all the militants who have attacked the Amarnath bus in June this year were killed, and the one more terrorist, Rashid Ahmed, who had recently joined the Lashkar group just before 2 days, has also been apprehended by the police at Janglat Mandi, which is around 12 kilometers away from the encounter site. He has managed to escape from the encounter site, but was apprehended at Janglat with a pistol. So, investigation is on. He will be questioning by the security forces that...
Just hold that thought, please, Khalid. I'll just come back to you. Let's also get in further details from DGP SP Wade joining us. Appreciate your speaking with us here on WION, sir. Good morning. What's the latest that you can share with us?
During this search, we have recovered 3 bodies. One is, as your correspondent was mentioning, State Command of Pakistani terrorist and local bodies and these
Sam, sorry, I'm having to interrupt you. A bit of an audio trouble there with your line, but as the Director General of Police of Jammu and Kashmir, SP Wade, and my colleague Khalid Hussain were pointing out 3 terrorists killed in the Kashmir encounter. Khalid, go ahead.
This is a successful operation once again conducted by the security forces in South Kashmir. And Furqan was very active, was involved as police in many militants-related activities in the South Kashmir. He was one of the militants who attacked the Amarnath bus in June. And secondly, he was also involved in the police party attack in Amarnath as well as in Kulgam. So he was at large and was in A++ category in the police list. So this is a big success for security forces, and his associate Abu Muawiyah was one of the militants who was involved in motivating youths and asking them to join the elite outfit. And that's why recently Rashid Ahmed, one who has been apprehended by the security forces, had joined the militant outfit of Lashkar-e-Toiba. He was, Rashid Ahmed was caught alive and he has been questioned by the Jammu and Kashmir Police Special Operation Group, and they believe that they can get further leads of elite outfit in South Kashmir. A good operation once again conducted under the banner of Operation All Out. Now it's more than 205 militants that have got killed in the last 1 year in the Kashmir Valley.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment, Khalid. Appreciate you joining us with all of those details. That does remain our top focus as we continue to get in further details, and through our correspondents, keep a close eye on the latest. We are back on the line with the Director General of Police, Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. SP Wade. Sir, a bit of an audio trouble earlier. Please go ahead with the point you were making.
Yeah, as I was mentioning, with the recovery of these 3 dead bodies of terrorists, 2 Pakistani nationals, Furqan and Abu Muawiyah, and 1 local Java. All these 4 terrorists who were involved in the attack on the Amarnath Yatris belonging to Lashkar-e-Taiba. Earlier, Abu Ismail, who was the commander, was eliminated and Khan took from his role as a divisional commander of South Kashmir. So all of these 4 terrorists who were involved in the Amarnath Yatra are now no more, have been eliminated. We have pursuing the investigation. We have also arrested another local terrorist who had died a few days back, Rashid Ahmed from Maternity Hospital near Anantnag in injured condition, and recovered a weapon from him.
All right, Director General of Police SP Ved sharing the latest details on that operation. Appreciate your speaking with us here. That does remain our top focus. We'll closely keep monitoring the latest coming in on that front. As my colleague and the DGP SP Ved were just pointing out, 3 terrorists killed while a 4th has been caught alive. This is an operation which is taking place in India's Jammu and Kashmir. The encounter broke out on Monday between the security forces and the terrorists. 3 terrorists were killed as a part of that operation, while a 4th has been caught alive. He came to Islamabad with the aim of finding common ground to fight terrorism. Hours after winding up the talks with Pakistan's top civil and military leadership, U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis said, and I'm quoting, "There is a need to build positive and continuous ties with each other. Pakistan and the U.S. need to find common ground. The U.S. is aware of sacrifices Pakistan has made in fighting terrorism. The purpose of my visit is to ensure our long-term alliance continues in the future," unquote. Whether any common ground has been found is, beg your pardon, is not clear. Nor is it clear if Mattis read the riot act to the Pakistanis on their support of terrorism, or whether he decided to play safe and pat them on the back. Here's what Mattis said hours before landing in Islamabad.
They have lost hundreds, thousands of their troops killed and wounded by terrorists. They have lost hundreds, thousands of their innocent people murdered and wounded by terrorists. So we know that there's common ground.
What is clear, though, is that both sides need each other. What the U.S. wants is Pakistani cooperation in fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan. It wants Pakistan to crack down on the Haqqani network. The Haqqanis are seen as the force behind the Taliban. The U.S. is dependent on Pakistan for movement of its logistics to Afghanistan. What Pakistan wants, on the other hand, is Pakistan, of course, is dependent on U.S. economic aid. It needs access to U.S. markets for its exports. It needs U.S. cooperation in securing low-cost loans. At all costs, Pakistan cannot afford to alienate Washington. Its fragile economy cannot withstand sanctions. Its budget making could collapse if the U.S. withholds financial assistance, nor can it militarily take on the United States. Right-thinking Pakistani generals have no illusions that China will come to Islamabad's aid if a military confrontation looms. The Mattis visit could be another attempt by the U.S. to rebuild ties with an old ally, but there could be an element of frustration also over Islamabad's collusion on terrorism. Witness CIA Chief James Pompeo. CIA Chief Pompeo's warning in the absence of the Pakistanis achieving that, ridding their country of insurgent bases. We are going to do everything we can to make sure that safe havens no longer exist. There seems little doubt that the US and Pakistan have drifted apart since the end of the Afghan jihad. Both have found new friends. The US with India, Pakistan with China, but old ties cannot be cast aside. Not when the two still have need for each other. And it's a major victory for U.S. President Donald Trump. The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed his Muslim travel ban to go into full effect. Donald Trump's travel ban targets people from 6 Muslim-majority countries, namely Chad, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria and Yemen, even as legal challenges continue in the lower courts. The 9-member court, with 2 liberal justices dissenting, granted the Donald Trump administration's request to lift 2 injunctions imposed by lower courts that had partially blocked that ban. The travel ban is the 3rd version of a contentious policy that Trump first sought to implement a week after taking office in January. Donald Trump argues the travel ban is needed to protect the United States from terrorism by Islamic militants.
This is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. We all know what that means. Protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States.
Moving on, days after North Korea test-fired its most powerful missile, South Korea and the U.S. have launched their largest air exercise. About 12,000 U.S. military personnel are participating at the 5-day drill called Vigilant Ace, which began on Monday and will go on till Friday. Major strategic U.S. military assets, including 6 F-22 and 18 F-35 stealth fighter jets, are participating in the annual training exercise in the Korean Peninsula. South Korean Defense Ministry said that the exercise is meant to improve the South Korea and the U.S. Air Force's wartime combined operations capabilities. The launch of the intercontinental ballistic missile by North Korea has sparked global outrage, especially from the United States, which is pushing for more sanctions against the Kim regime, urging all nations to sever ties with North Korea. United States National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said that U.S. President Donald Trump is fully committed to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
The greatest immediate threat to the United States and to the world is the threat posed by the rogue regime in North Korea and his continued efforts to develop a long-range nuclear capability. And so it's immensely important that we work together with all of our allies, partners, everyone internationally to convince Kim Jong-un that the continued pursuit of these capabilities is a dead end for him and his regime.
The United Kingdom and the European Union have failed to reach an agreement to move to the next stage of the Brexit talks. After a meeting with the British Prime Minister Theresa May in Brussels on Monday, European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker told reporters that there are still some issues that need to be agreed upon.
Despite our best efforts and the significant progress we and our teams have made over the past days on the 3 main withdrawal issues, it was not possible to reach a complete agreement today. We stand ready to resume the negotiations with the United Kingdom here in Brussels later this week. I'm still confident that we can reach sufficient progress before the European Council of the 15th of December.
The talks are believed to have failed after Northern Ireland's leading political party, Democratic Unionist Party, denied to accept concessions on the Irish border issue. The Democratic Unionist Party says it will reject any deal that gives it a different status from the rest of the UK. The talks are to resume later this week. British Prime Minister Theresa May has said she is confident it would end on a positive note.
We have been very clear. Northern Ireland must leave the European Union on the same terms as the rest of the United Kingdom, and we will not accept any form of regulatory divergence which separates Northern Ireland economically or politically from the rest of the UK. And the economic and constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom must not be compromised in any way.
It's been over 2 months since the two parties that ruled in a coalition emerged as the largest and second largest winners of the poll, and yet talks between Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats of Merkel's election contender Martin Schulz are still in limbo. And now there is fresh pressure to contend from France's President Emmanuel Macron. WION senior foreign editor Padma Rao gets you more.
The results were sobering, but the consequence seems inevitable. While Chancellor Angela Merkel's CDU-CSU combined received fewer votes than before, her contender Martin Schulz's Social Democrats experienced the worst election debacle in the history of post-war Germany. And yet, talks between the two erstwhile coalition partners to come together again are in limbo, and it seems unlikely that Germany's Christmas present will be a new government. But there's fresh pressure now from France's President Emmanuel Macron, Greek President Alexis Tsipras and 32 of Europe's social democratic parties. Both Macron and Greece's President Tsipras have been on the phone to Martin Schulz for days. This was confirmed to a German daily by the man reluctant to tie up with Chancellor Merkel himself. Both fellow members of the European Union urged the German Social Democrat to not hover on the periphery when Europe was undergoing a crucial phase. "I'm certain you will take the right decision," Tsipras is reported to have told Mr. Schulz in a text message. There are 32 socialist and social democrat political parties across Europe whose members convened in Lisbon over the weekend. They will be watching the maneuvers in Berlin closely. Germany is the largest and most powerful country in the European Union. Key decisions on the future of the economic and monetary union are on the agenda in the coming weeks and months. To have a social democrat component to the government in Berlin will ease their passage. Padma Rao, WION.